Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Red Raider Coaches Show. This is week 9. I just had to confirm with the coaches. It's been a whirlwind. I think the last couple of weeks we've been discussing how fast this season, this school year has gone by. I'm joined with co-offensive coordinators. I think that's O'Brien and Braden. We would like to welcome them to the show. I got my two O guys on the show today, and so we'll be discussing probably more specifically the offensive side of the ball today, but we'll be touching on some other things. I do want to thank audibly, so we got Lee's Chapel for providing the game meal last week prior to traveling over to Worth County. So thank you for them and all of the previous churches and then the upcoming churches. We got a few more weeks left in the season, and we'll be talking about that when we're discussing Fitzgerald, but that we're playing this week at home. This is possibly the last home game. We're hoping and going to be competing still. We're still in the running, in the money for a potentially hosting a home game, but again in the playoffs. But we'll get to that in just a few minutes as well. Welcome, guys, to the show. Appreciate you coming in first thing this morning and being here. We went over to Worth County to face the number. This time, for sure, the number was. Wasn't sure if Thomasville was the number one team a few weeks ago when they come in, but Worth County was the consensus number one team in our division. And I don't know if I said it on air the other night or not. I know I talked to Keck about it. They could be probably number one in definitely the lower, the Division II single A might be number one in Class AA, and compete very, very well in a couple other divisions. That you got to give them credit. We got over and seeing them warm up. Boy, they had some good looking kids.
Yep.
And then when they suited, they suited it completely up and took the field. Saw a very fast, physical, disciplined football team, and the quarterback was everything to be expected from last year. I think they may have ran the ball more times in the first quarter than they did on us the whole game last year. They just slung it around last year. So got a little bit of a running game. Their defense has definitely improved. So again, a very quality, very good football program that we ran into over at Worth County. Now, I will say this, and I'll turn it over to these guys. When you drive into, it was just getting dark, but you drive into that community, I'm like, how in the world is this place a single A school? I always look at the businesses. They got a Longhorn, they got a Walmart, they got all this, that, and the other. We actually had to, we had the wrong directions to start with, so we've made a few circles around there, and man, that's just a big community. And then we're competing with that. I don't understand, and I know a lot of people in the stands that night were questioning that as well. But we playing with the hand we're dealt. Geographically, where we're at, sometimes it is a disadvantage, I do believe. But I kind of say this: the good, the bad, and the ugly. How things went down offensively, specifically against Worth County. It was a little bit of a wrinkle. Let's talk about that. To start the game, I teach one of those guys in one of my classes. He said, "Hey, Mr. Johnson, y'all gonna be videoing the game tonight, right?" This was last Friday. And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, make sure you're ready for the first few plays." And that's all he said. So tell us a little bit how that game started. What was kind of the mindset or thought behind that, and tell it to our listeners.
Yeah, we whenever I interviewed in the summer, I guess before the summer, one of the things I told Coach Williams was we're going to have an offense that's going to be, we're going to do what we're going to do, but we're going to have a ton of fun. So like, if we carry 5-6 trick plays in a game, we're going to do it every week. We need a heavy set with Theron and Mason Johnson running the ball, we're going to do that. And that was kind of the point of the season where, you're playing, like you said, number one team Worth, and they're the measuring stick. They do everything correct. Like, you could tell from we got there in the warm-ups, and everything was timed, they do this, they got kids coming out, they're a legit program. They ran everything the right way. So playing somebody like that, it's easy, really, really easy for the kids to say, man, let's just press fast forward on this remote and let's get to next week. But our thought process was, how can we make it fun? How can we be competitive? How can we maybe get some juice going? And that was it for us. Putting Theron back there, everybody, I think he ran it twice. He ran to the right side for 6-7 yards, and the left side and got a first down. And
Yeah.
you would have thought it was Super Bowl. Like
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
was excited,
Yeah.
and that's what we're trying to create. It's just moments where maybe the game's not gonna go well, because
Right.
maybe it's just not, but we're gonna have fun and we're gonna compete and we're gonna line up and do it again. So they were really excited.
Well, I appreciate that, and, and I asked him, I guess it was Monday or so, I said, man, why didn't they give you the ball more? He said, well, they didn't want to mess my knees up, and because we definitely needed him on the defensive side of the ball. He made several plays on defense, believe it or not, but yeah, that was fun to see. I remember seeing Mason line up. He would take a direct snap in middle school when he was in 8th grade. He's fairly nimble on his feet for what is he, 275?
Gotta be
Two-
a little more. Yeah.
He's a big man. I mean, he is when I say that, I'm not. It's not
He's
a
athletic,
disadvantage.
too.
He is an athletic, big offensive tackle, defensive line type guy. One of the biggest specimens that Bacon County has ever put out. So very very proud of those guys. And then again, Theron Moore is not a small man either. 6'2", he's probably 250, 255. Runs very well. So that was unique. I think it definitely took them for a loop.
Yeah.
I can imagine their defensive coordinator. Whoa,
Yep.
what's going on here? All right, we need to. They probably knew who was going to get the ball. Probably knew who wasn't going to throw it.
Yeah.
But they still had to tackle a big man on his first couple of plays. But then we had a few mistakes. Anytime you play in a really good team, you turn the ball over a few times. That just exaggerates everything. Exaggerates how maybe good that other team is. But I do want to talk briefly about this. Is our quarterback? We played on the turf field. If you watched the game, or you went to the game, or you watched it online, I think this is their first year playing on it, if I'm not mistaken. The baseball coach last year said they were putting all that in. They're going to have turf softball field, turf baseball. We'll be playing over there, a doubleheader this year on the turf field. So that's interesting in itself. So they're still kind of navigating and getting used to that. But quarterback Hennessy, I can't. It was mid second quarter, somewhere right in there. He was tackled late. We did get a flag on that, but his head bounced off the turf and maybe made his head spin a little bit. Mild concussion is what maybe they call
Yeah,
it.
he should be fine. I know you mentioned getting the flag. I told him after the game, at least we got our money's worth. We got 15 yards, so
That's right.
he didn't smile. He didn't see the flag, but at least we got that. But yeah, he's progressed well during the week. I think it's to be a game time decision. He's ran. He's in the protocol. 5 day plan. He's ran for 20 minutes. Did some agilities, 15-20 minutes. Took breaks, and he seems to handle it pretty well. So we're looking at maybe this week playing. If not, he should be back next week ready to go. So yeah.
Well, we'll spend just a couple more minutes here. I want to ask Braden. You're more handle the offensive line. You knew what you was up against this team, and their defensive line was pretty stout, pretty big. How do you prepare you guys mentally when you're going against the number one team, and it seems like every week we've been going against a top 5 opponent, and we still got one left. Tonight is top 10. Maybe they're back up to number 8, Fitzgerald. But what kind of discussions do you have with these guys? Do you challenge their manhood? Like we hear about that in college ball and stuff. You go into halftime and you challenge them when they come out. I mean, what's that process?
My guys are competitors. They love a good challenge. So they make my job easy. You hear these, speeches that get their players fired up. I'll give them a speech to get them fired up, but for the most part, they make my job easy. They know what we were up against going into the week. I told them they're a good team. They're coached well. And on Friday, I think I told Coach O'Brien on the headset, because he was in the box, I said, this defense is communicating way more than I've heard any other defense. I mean, anytime we come to the line and we had a tight end, hey, tight end's over here, hey, watch the doubles over here, watch the trips. I mean, even the D-line was communicating. We got a tight end, hey, we got a sniffer over here, we're in 20 personnel. I mean, just really, really coached well. And they're relatively young too. They got a couple sophomores in the front 7. But we knew what we were up against. We know they had some Saturday guys that's going to play on Saturdays. My guys love the challenge. Going out and telling them on Monday, like, look, we got this guy, and this guy. And they say, Coach, they're going to have to see us. So I like the confidence. I like the competitiveness with my guys. So it's not really hard to get them fired up. My 5 guys fired up. They love to compete, love to go up against a good challenge.
Well, that's good to hear. And you've said that all season long. You know, our guys, this, you know, it's a part of that culture you're trying to ingrain. But again, it's got to be. It is tough mentally. You know, week in, week out, we're challenged. I mean, challenged, and that's just where we're at. Like I said, we play the hand we're dealt. You know, I'm the eternal optimist. I have been for years. You know, I see a team out there that's very very competitive. It can be very competitive in any night. And again, once in a while, you run up against a team like you just described. It's going to be just difficult to defeat. Period. And compete with, irregardless. Because I've said this team would compete at multiple divisions right now where they're at. And that's a team you can learn from, right? You know, you guys, you go up against a team like that and they hear that communication, they see how well they perform. You go back and look at the film, and because that's where we're striving to be, where we're trying to get. But again, just glad we had the opportunity to play on Friday night, you know, against a team like that. Then we're going to move on. You know, we're going to move on this week to another top 10 opponent, Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald has a brand new coach. His name forgets.
Coach
Tankersley. Their coach left and went to Appleton. We took care of them in preseason, and now this guy has taken over Fitzgerald. Struggled early, I think, in implementing maybe his system. Now, what type of offense are they going to be running?
A little bit of a different stuff. They have some shotgun wing T stuff. They do some single wing stuff like they have in the past. So I think they've, beginning of the year, not struggled, but they've dropped some games, kind of just figuring out what works for them.
Right.
All teams go through, and now they've kind of hit their stride.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to play smash mouth football with Fitzgerald. So
Okay.
they're kind of back to being them and just running through teams.
Right, running through teams. And I wasn't sure if this guy was, maybe I was thinking this guy was trying to, because I haven't watched the film, spread things out, completely change what Fitzgerald's been like the last decade with Pruitt. So, then that would be a big difference, because they've always got athletes. They've always got some big dudes. It's just a matter of time for them to, like I said, to get in their stride. And unfortunately, it looks like they've sort of hit that stride, especially a couple weeks ago. You know, when they upset, I still think they probably upset Thomasville. A very close game. Now, Thomasville, granted, was coming off a very emotional loss the week before to Worth County, who came back and beat them. Probably should have got them in regulation if they'd made an extra point, but they ended up getting them in overtime. So they were kind of reeling from that. Maybe perfect storm there for Fitzgerald, but they're definitely playing better ball. So, you know, what's your take overall on Fitzgerald? What will be up against when it comes to their defense and our offensive line and offense?
We're going to get a 3-4 look, 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. Secondary, very athletic. I think they got a guy in the secondary that won state in the 100, so he can fly around the field, plays both ways. And that's a lot of what you see in this division. You see a lot of people playing both ways. But they're big and athletic up front. They got a big zero technique that is going to maintain his gap, and it's hard to move him. He's probably 6'4", probably 300 plus.
Oh boy.
Big guy. Athletic, very athletic. So we know the task at hand. Guys are ready to get back and compete, and they make our job easy. You know, once Friday night, once the clock hits 0, they're ready for the next Friday night. Win or lose, they're ready to just get back out there and compete. We've had a good week of practice. Guys have been focused. Guys wanting to get better, and again, that makes your job easier when you go out to the practice field and like, Coach, how can we get better? Like, make us better. What do we have to do to get better? We've had a good week of practice. We just got to do what we do. And I know that's the coaching cliche, do what you do, you hear it all the time, but it's true. You just got to play within the system. Play within, do your assignment well. And if you don't do your assignment well, line back up, make it a point that, hey, I lost that rep, I lost that battle. But this time, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. And our kids do that, whether it be the offensive line, whether it be the receivers, the running back, the quarterback. They are competitive, and that's why we can go out and be successful. Just put it on us as coaches when it doesn't go well, because they're doing what they're coached to do. So let's go out, let's bounce back, and let's compete. Got a tough task. Fitzgerald's a very good football team. Traditionally, we're a very good football team. So they got athletic kids, they got big kids, and they know how to win. And, you know, we know how to win. We won big games. It's going to be a good football game between two good football teams. I'm excited. It's what you live for as a football coach.
Yeah.
You know, Friday night in South Georgia, two good football teams for a chance to host a playoff game.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, all the stakes are in front of us, and it's like I told the guys, we have not lost anything. Nothing has tarnished anything that we want to accomplish this year. So I'm excited, and our kids are excited.
That's awesome to hear. Now, let's talk a little bit about our offensive side of the ball. We briefly mentioned, or I brought up, Scotland was injured Friday night. He didn't play the last few minutes of the second quarter and then set out the second half with, I guess, sort of a mild concussion. But he's passed protocols this week. He just mentioned, to clarify, it's basically going to be kind of a game time decision. But I'm sure all week you've been preparing Amari, who I thought come in and did a great job for us. So tell us a little bit about, you know, the differences between those two quarterbacks, what maybe we can anticipate and you know, from Amari if he in fact does start the game.
Well, first, Amari is maybe the most like even keeled guy I've ever been around in my 8 years. Like, I've never seen a kid more level-headed. Like, he threw the pick, I think his first pass Friday night. Didn't pout, went and played defense, made some tackles, came back, threw 2 touchdowns at the end of the game. Like, that's just him. He's never going to get too high, never going to get too low, and that's what you need at that position. He's more of a runner than he is a thrower. That's pretty obvious. It's been fun, honestly, all week as a staff, just getting creative. How can we scheme stuff up for him? How can we make more RPOs and stuff like that? How can we play him better in the system to fit his needs, his qualities? Yeah, it's been a ton of fun. I think we got a pretty good plan together. The guys seem to like it all week. Tuesday was maybe the best practice we ever had since I've been here, I think, as far as just competitiveness and just like, you're not going to be the guy in front of you. Like, we're going to compete, and then at the end we're going to shake hands, and we're going to go home. We're going to have a good time. But like, I think they're starting to understand like what's at stake and moving into the playoffs. Because I've been around a lot of teams where we've been close to making playoffs, and some we've made the playoffs. Yeah. But at the end of the season, they're kind of in this week. Is usually week 8, 9, 10 is when they're starting to get like, man, the basketballs are kind of bouncing, the weather's starting to change. Like, I'm kind of done with the football stuff, but I hadn't seen that. And you know, usually this is the time when you start to see it. Yeah. But I've seen dudes all week that's like, man, we want to play, ready to play next week, want to play the next week, want to play the next. Like, they're not ready to hang it up yet. So it's been fun to watch.
That's great to hear. One more thing about Amari, you're talking about a great kid, and he don't come off the field.
No, at all.
You know, and that's a great quality when a kid doesn't want to come off the field, and he makes plays. It's not like he's just on the field. He's making tackles. He's doing stuff, flying around on offense, catching the ball, doing things he needs to do, and now with an potential opportunity to get his maybe first varsity start, depending on how things shake out in the next 24 or 48 hours. But obviously, it's like you guys are prepared for that, just in case. And he's talking about his playoff run. Everything's still ahead of us. We were chatting just before the show. I was trying to clarify some things, and you know, this is basically the scenario. You know, we're going to be in the playoffs. We're almost for sure about that. Even if we were to go 0-2 over the course of the next 2 weeks. But if we win, if we can beat Fitzgerald tomorrow night, that will almost guarantee a home playoff game, and that's you know, some people argue, some of my historians will argue that we've hosted a playoff game before, but not especially in the modern era. I would say that of the GHSA and the way things are set up now. So we would definitely have the opportunity to host, because by beating Fitzgerald, we feel confident in being very competitive against Brantley County. So if we go 2-0, we're definitely hosting a playoff game. If we come up short against Fitzgerald, take care of business with Brantley, that's going to still going to improve our rankings in this power deal. That's going to put us in the high teens, probably mid to high teens, on the cusp. You're right there. Possibly can still host, but likely would probably travel. But that would give us an opportunity to be matched up against a team that's manageable, that we could be very competitive against. So you're talking about us being maybe an 18, playing a 14, 13, 14 seed kind of thing right there, even though we still may have to travel. But tomorrow night, we literally could solidify a home playoff game, which would be historical. That's something that you can keep talking to these guys about. You still got a chance to do something nobody's done before. You can become legends, all that good stuff. Not to put too much pressure on them. That's what it's not what it's about. It's to get them excited. that they have an opportunity to do something nobody's ever done before. But we still have, like you said, still have things ahead of us. We come up short tomorrow night. We take care of business next week. There will be an off week. GHSA put that in. I don't remember exactly why. Sometimes it works out for teams to have some makeup game, to maybe get a makeup game, potentially. But the playoffs will start Friday the 14th of November. So we'll be headed somewhere, or we'll be hosting. We're almost 99% sure of that, irregardless of the outcome of the next 2 weeks. But I was sure pleased to see the folks that we had in the stands at Worth County. That was a drive. I encourage everybody to go. We stopped in Tipton. We eat some Longhorn too. I try to take care of my broadcasting crew. I can't pay them physical money, but I can feed them well, and a few other things. But yeah, it was not a bad trip. Glad the band made it over. They sounded great. We had some audio issues up front, and I'll be brief with this. About 20 minutes out, I was going over in my mind all my stuff that I had and what we needed to do to set up, and I realized that I left 2 bags. I left my commentating headsets and I left my board. So I panicked for about 2 minutes, and then I realized, I started running through my mind how I could figure things out to get us some audio for me and Sky to be able to commentate. So what I did was, fortunately, I had the ability to, we literally had a camera set up right here between us that was pointed at the wall. We wasn't using the video, obviously, but we were using the camera's audio feature. And then we had a separate camera that was giving you the video feed. So if you go back and watch the game, if you haven't already, you'll hear a little bit more outside noise than you normally would. Some crowd, the band, and the PA guy, which actually I like that a little bit. It was just a little too much. So I may try to pipe in a little more outside noise to come in with the commentation. But it all worked out. Again, pleased with the crowd that came over. And we want you to come out and be loud and proud tomorrow night at this Fitzgerald game. It is senior night. We're celebrating our seniors on the football, the cheer, the band, all of our fall sports from cross country, esports. I think that's it. Softball has their own thing. But there's going to be probably 30 or so kids recognized before the game. And we've got another big region matchup with Fitzgerald with a lot of implications, as I just described to you. So I want to thank these guys for joining me today. Even though Braden brazenly wore his Alabama shirt, or a hoodie or whatever it is, I guess the fact that Bama did take care of business and beat our dogs this year, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt today. But otherwise, I'd have made him turn it inside out. But anyway, I don't know, who's your favorite?
Georgia.
Gosh,
Big
there you go,
time.
man. Yeah, let's go Dogs. Go Raiders. All right. So again, thank you all for joining us on this week's edition of the Red Raider Coaches Show. So on behalf of these two dudes, let's go Raiders.